At the spinning circle, that means we are live with another edition of Money Moves here in August. School is back in session. Thank God. Scott's getting back to normal. I know a lot of parents are high-fiving each other going, we made it through. We made it through. Don't get me wrong. Love my kids. I'm sure you love yours,
I don't know.
right?
I cried. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, you had one going for the first time. I get it.
My baby, like the youngest, like there's no more. And she's started kindergarten.
Well, there you go. There you go. It's another chapter.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So we're not talking about that today, though. We're talking about some big news that's been all over social media, all over, the news and stuff like that, if you still watch mainstream media. But we're going to talk about this new hiring frenzy that the government's on, specifically in one area, right? And that's with the IRS. And I don't know about you, Wendy. I'm excited about it. I am, because think about it. I struggle so much, with taxes, all these tax cuts. So I am pretty confident that that's why they hired these people, right? To help us navigate our taxes, right? They're here to help
us be in a better position, of course.
Right. That's also why if you haven't seen the job posting, about the fifth bullet down, it's you're required to carry a sidearm and must be willing to use it. Because it's the IRS, and trust us, we're here to help, right? So we're going to get talking about that here in just a few minutes. So do us a favor, text your friends, say, hey, John and Wendy are getting ready to get started. They're going to talk about the IRS and how they're here to help and what you can do to kind of protect yourself against it. So we'll get started in just a second. We are back. Well, you're all excited. Obviously, folks, I was being sarcastic when I said I was talking about the IRS. They're here to help. So let's talk about this. So have you seen this, right, Wendy?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, 86,000 people is a lot of people.
No. 87,000.
87,000.
Yes. That's more than most stadiums can hold.
Yeah.
And, they're hiring them, the question is why, and why are they stressing the fact that you've got to be able to carry a sidearm and willing to carry a sidearm and use it to enforce, the code. I mean, that's the craziness. So let's talk about this for a little bit. So, we've seen the new regime come in, a year plus ago. And the first thing they started looking for was, where can we raise money? Now, the government has two ways to raise money. That's it. Just two ways, or they could sell some stuff off. But I mean, two primary resources. Most people know about the first one, which, Wendy, what's the first strategy for the government? Taxation.
Money.
Right. And, taxation, I had a friend of mine talking about Robin Hood, talking about, hey, isn't that like Robin Hood, stuff? And I'm like, no, Robin Hood was actually a socialist, robbing from the rich, paying. That was redistribution. Whole other discussion. But taxation is that primary source, right? How can the government get more of your money and spend it on other stuff, whether it's redistribute through entitlement programs, whatever? And a funny thing, a lot of people don't realize this. I share this joke, and I know Wendy gives me a hard time about it all the time. But oddly enough, the government uses all these acronyms, right? And the CARES Act or whatever, and it usually each letter stands for a word in the act or whatever. Well, the IRS, which is funny enough, you take those two words, the and IRS, put them together, and it spells theirs, because that's actually how they look at your money. It's not yours, it's theirs, and they're trying to figure out how to get more of it. So they do it through taxation. Well, the government has another known, or maybe not so known, way to get money, and that's through printing money, which causes what? It causes inflation. And so inflation is not by accident. Everybody thinks inflation, well, yeah, it costs more to make the goods. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Tell me a TV. I remember when I bought a big screen TV back in the day, right? Around 2000 or something like that. It was $3,000 for a Sony 50-inch. $3,000.
Yep. I remember the first plasmas were 10.
Yeah.
Which they don't make plasma anymore, but
no, I know, right? And the first recordable CD player where you could record a CD was $10,000. I remember who those guys, Bob and Tom, had a guy on that bought it. They were interviewing and stuff. It was a big deal. I mean, hell, you can pick them up at Goodwill now for $3. Right. I mean, it's even new stuff, TVs, especially, all that stuff's getting cheaper. So that whole thought of inflation is the cost of goods and services increasing because it costs more to make that good and service is total BS. But they propel that. The government propels that. Why? Because that way you're not looking at the real reason of it, which is, the government prints money, and they don't actually print it. They just create more zeros through the Fed, which is funny. It's not even a federal agency, but they call it the Fed. They print more money. And so now the government has more money to pay whatever they need. Well, what that does is dilutes the money stream. There's a great book out there called, what is it? The Creature from Jekyll Island. I don't know. Have you heard of that book? Have you?
No, but we just read an analogy in the book we're reading now in book club. I thought you were going there, but
no, go ahead.
Continue with Jekyll Island.
No, go ahead.
Oh, do you remember where he talks about the Kool-Aid?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So this helped me because I'd never even thought about inflation. I just thought, things, the value of the dollar changes as time goes on, right? I didn't really know why or how it affected us because I thought, we just make more money as, like it was all proportional. But anyway, so this analogy in this book that we're reading, which is called what? I forget.
Wealth Beyond Wall Street.
Wealth Beyond Wall Street.
By Brett
He
Kitchen.
talks about this Kool-Aid. So if you're like the cool kid, right, on the street and you have Kool-Aid, remember the Kool-Aid commercials? They were so fun. Anyway, but you pull out the packet, you pour it in with the water, right? And so he says, like, this kid makes the Kool-Aid and it tastes good, right? You have the right amount of water for the right amount of powder and it's super sweet, really bad for you, but we love it.
Is it?
And then what happens? Like the kid drinks too much of it and then, the friends want some. And he's like, I don't want to give up any more of my powder. I'll just put some more water in here.
There you go.
And then I'll pass out the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
Well,
what happens?
You dilute the Kool-Aid. It's not as effective, right? It doesn't taste as good. It doesn't satisfy the same way. And so that's what happens with inflation. And I had no idea that this QE1, QE2, whatever the numbers are.
Quantitative easing. Yep.
Like that's just fancy word for they print more money.
Yeah,
and cause inflation.
Let's pour it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But it sounds cool when you got QE1, QE2. Oh, okay. Well, these are financial.
They're doing something good.
They're diluting the Kool-Aid. Now, for you kids out there, that, I never really had Kool-Aid, so I don't understand what you're saying. Think back to your mom's liquor cabinet, your dad's liquor cabinet with the vodka, and pour water in. Yeah, it's the same. It's to the line. So, but, you get the same idea. So apparently we had different childhoods, Wendy. So, no, I mean, but that's, in all seriousness, folks, that's a great analogy because that's what happens with the money. You and I have to go out and trade our time and effort or a combination of both to earn money. Mm-hmm. The government, the way they earn money is they take a portion of that and, tell us it's for our schools and military. And it is to some degree, right? But the other thing is overseas. Yeah. So the other, don't even get me started on that. So the other reason or other way is, well, they look at each other. So we got the damn printing press right here. Let's just print some more money. Mm-hmm. Right. No, we got all the money we need. But the problem with that is exactly the analogy you used. Now the Kool-Aid for all of us is diluted. It doesn't taste as good. It doesn't buy as much. Okay. So thanks for sharing that, Wendy. That's actually a great analogy. So let's go back to these 87,000 people that are being hired for the IRS. So if you're looking for a job, IRS is hiring, right? Really? You look at that. Why would they need to hire 87,000 new agents, additional agents, not replacing, but these are additional agents? Do you think that's a positive thing, folks? Wendy, do you think that's a positive?
No. I mean, the first thing I thought of, we did a video on this a while back when all of a sudden they're like, hey, Venmo's over $600. You now have to report, right?
Yep.
Then there's, cryptocurrency. You have to report all these things that you have to report now that you didn't before. Somebody's got to keep everybody in line, right?
That's right. That's right.
And honestly, it scares the crap out of me that they're wanting to employ that many agents.
So here, let me get out my crystal ball. I need an actual crystal ball. let me get up my crystal ball, folks. So this is where I see this going. 87,000 new agents, right? They're going to start really tightening down. They're already looking at the Venmo. On your IRS 1040 form, there is a question that asks you if you're involved in crypto. I know a lot of millennials and Gen Zs are like, wow, they can't track it, whatever. If you get caught lying on that question specifically, it is a federal crime.
Right.
Okay. It is a federal crime. You're not going to get a slap on the wrist. I mean, it's a federal felony crime. I mean, it's this is big time, right? And so they've got to have people enforce that. So they're going to start putting the clamps down. And then you look at what's going on in crypto. What was the whole purpose of crypto? To get away from fiat currency with governments, government-backed currency, right? To have our own independent currency and things like that. Well, now you've got countries that are really scrutinizing that, wanting to get it, wanting to tax it, maybe even make it illegal. And beyond that, we now have a situation where they're creating their own cryptocurrency. We talked about that early in the year about the United States with its own digital currency. China's doing the same thing. So why do you think they're doing that? To have more control over you.
Right. Yep.
Okay. And that's where it gets scary, because China, for example, is already using social scoring. Just like your credit bureau. If you have crappy credit, are you getting a loan? No. Well, imagine if you had a social score that was reported to everybody as well. And that's what's going on in China.
And what do you mean by that, a social score?
Well, do they speak out against the government? Do they speak out against, are they towing the line with regards to the government? And I know I'm getting kind of George Orwellian here, 1984, but folks, look at where it's happening. Look at what's happening and going on. Everything's more digital now. And, you start getting a situation where now they can shut your currency off left or right. And, one of the first things President Biden looked at when he came in was nationalizing the 401k, because they've done such a great job with Social Security. The thought was, let's nationalize 401ks. And that way we know your money will be protected. We're the government. We're here to help. Trust us. Right. And so I know I'm getting on a political rant here. I'm getting fired up about this, but I don't understand why you need 87,000 new agents to help people. You don't. You need it to harm and take away from people.
Right.
And that's where it's starting to get scary. So I'd love to hear, your thoughts on this. And definitely, if you're watching this, obviously click the subscribe button, show some love. Whoop, whoop. I want to hear your comments too. Comment on what your thoughts are. Are you all excited about these 87,000 people? Are you concerned? We'd love to hear it in the comments below. But Wendy, what are your thoughts?
It is political, right? I mean, what we're seeing, I feel like, is more and more government control, which to me is a scary thing, right? The reason we have America, the reason this country was started was to get away from that. And these are just little steps. And I know sometimes you joke about the tinfoil hat, but here's the deal. For the last 2 years, all those conspiracy theories keep becoming reality, right?
Yeah.
And one after another, pretty much every single day, one of them becomes reality. So
no, and that's the truth. I mean, I was joking around with a friend the other day. I mean, people need to wake up, and I think a lot of people are to what's really going on. I mean, we just saw past President Trump's house was raided by the FBI, and the judge that signed off on it was tied to, the Epstein situation. And I'm not going into all that, but it's almost like, is this real?
Right.
But folks, wake up, because it is, and you need to start looking at ways. How can I protect my assets? How can I minimize taxation? What we talked about, if you haven't seen the past episodes, go back and watch them. But we talked about some of the things you need to kind of do to prepare for the economic storm, which is coming. And that's honestly why I think the government is in mode of hiring this large group of IRS agents, because they realize what's around the corner too, from an economic standpoint, and they need enforcement officers. And that's what these are. These aren't people here to help their enforcement officers, here to make sure that you're paying your fair share to the government, and to, make sure they're getting as much taxation they can out of what's called the gray economy. Okay. And what I mean by that is, you come over and do some work for me. I pay you cash on Venmo. Well, that was invisible before. Not anymore, folks.
Yep.
All those side jobs, all those cash jobs, those, what do they call those oak tree mechanics out in the yard and stuff that down the road, you buying and selling stuff as a side hustle or whatever, paying cash, all that's going to go away. And that's what these officers are here to do, is collect that money for the government. So anything else?
So what do we do?
So what do we do? I know, right? So without going into too much of a long, because we're already on 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Number one, get your financial house in order. Get a financial plan, right? Get out of debt, and don't do this. I'm going to get out of debt for the next 5 years, then I'll start saving. No, you want a trifecta attack, right? You want a three-prong attack. Saving up some reserves. Your emergency fund, whatever the case may be. Minimizing. Start getting. Downsizing. And what I mean by downsizing is kind of start all the extra stuff you don't need, like the subscriptions and stuff like that. Start getting your money back in your pocket. And one of the big questions I always have my clients ask whenever they make a purchase, number one, don't carry your credit cards with you. You can carry them in the car or whatever, but don't carry them into the store in your billfold or whatever. Keep them in an area in your car. That way, if you see something, I got to go back out to my car to get the credit card. I almost guarantee at least 50, if not 75% of the time, you're going to talk yourself out of it by the time you get to your car. Okay. So that's a little hack, right? The second thing is ask yourself before you make any purchases, is this getting me closer or further away from my financial goals? Okay. Yep. And if it's not getting you closer, don't do it. All right. Don't do it.
That's simple.
And the last one is have some damn financial goals, right? Have a plan. Don't just wander through life and hope it all works out. Your retirement, if you haven't saved money or aren't saving money, it's not just going to magically work out and Social Security is going to save the day. Get a plan. And it doesn't have to be huge. And I don't care that it's never too late to start, right? You can start today. Ideally you wanted to start when you were 20, but if you didn't, start today with a little something and get a plan. Work with the experts, at TPG where we're at, right? We'd love to help you. And you mentioned the show, you're going to get a free financial plan. No questions asked, right? At least get a roadmap on how to get there. But don't just sit here and watch it all happen and go, I wish there was somebody, something I could have done. There is. Yep. So, I'll get off my soapbox. I get fired up about this stuff. But anyway, any final words?
I think you covered it.
All right. Good deal, folks. So be excited. The IRS, they're here to help. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below. And like I said, if you want to catch some past episodes, blackswanmoney.com. And that'll take you directly to our YouTube channel where you can subscribe, get all the alerts. We do this every Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. And love to have you here. And if you've got an idea for a show, we'd love to hear that too. And again, comment below. Have a great day.